Hello and welcome back to tnwks, the Now We Know show, the show where we discuss a topic of interest and by the end we will have learned something new and hopefully you will too. I'm Zak.
And I'm Buzz. And in this week's episode, we are back on the trail of the conspiracies.
Dun, dun, dun.
And we are tackling the conspiracy of chemtrails.
If you enjoy the Now We Know show podcast, support Zak Wylde Productions on Patreon or join our members on YouTube for early access, ad-free content and exclusive episodes. It's great to be back in the studio talking all about conspiracy theories.
I know. It's not been long since we last did one.
Yeah, what was that?
But, the last conspiracy theory, what was it? I can't remember.
Simulation theory.
Oh, it was, that's
right.
what
I was talking about, whether or not we
You
were
were.
actually in an artificial reality.
That's right. That was a really good session. I enjoyed
It was.
recording that
Which is
one.
why we've kind of jumped back in with another funky conspiracy.
Well, it was mainly this week because this one sort of kept punching me in the face every time I went onto social media.
Oh no.
For no particular reason at all. And I just thought, well, it seems to be in the air. Pardon the pun. Why I decided to do this one was simply because I eventually, after seeing it come up several times, I suddenly saw this meme come up.
Oh yes.
I thought, okay, what's this? And if I can sort of try and paint the picture.
Okay.
There's a meme.
I've got my eyes closed.
It's a sandy beach on the coast.
Is there a breeze?
I have no idea.
I'm imagining a breeze.
I think it's a still day.
And the sound of the waves.
The sound of the waves. But the beach is covered with like hundreds of people going into the distance. Yeah?
Uh-huh.
And they're all on their hands and knees in their swimming costumes.
Okay.
But they've all got their heads stuck in the sand.
What, like a giraffe out of Madagascar?
If you say so. Anyway, because normally you associate that with an ostrich putting its head in the sand. That's the old sort of.
I wonder where that came from.
The old, not being impolite to old wives, but it's called an old wives' tale. I don't really think that ostriches do put their head into the sand, but it's like that's what they used to depict in cartoons and things. That if something bad was happening, that the ostrich would stick its head in the sand because if it couldn't see you, you couldn't see it. Yeah. So anyway, it's got all these hundreds of people with a head stuck in the sand, apart from one person who's standing there amongst them all, looking up into the sky, and can see all these planes flying across the sky with crisscrossing vapor trails, just literally covering the whole sky.
Okay.
And it's kind of like everybody else is like sticking their heads in the sand trying to ignore it, but one person can see the truth.
Right.
This
and this is what we're going into in this podcast.
Chemtrails, yes.
Okay. So I'm excited to kind of learn what that actually means.
And that's what we're about to find out. But
first,
yes,
it's time for, you guessed it,
Weird and Wonderful! Yay! And it's your turn this week, I believe.
Yes, I've actually brought in a story that will actually be very good for you, actually.
All right, I'm looking forward to this one!
Or it's associated to you.
Okay, what's it going to be?
Okie dokie. It is kind of drink-themed.
I don't really drink. Well, I suppose I do, but generally...
What do you drink particularly?
I was going to say protein shakes, but no. We'll go for coffee.
It is a coffee
It's
story.
a coffee one. A weird and wonderful coffee story.
Mm-hmm. A coffee shop in Finland has launched an AI-generated blend.
Oh, yes.
The results were surprising.
Okay. It was almost, but not entirely unlike coffee. I don't know.
Well, this is in Helsinki.
That was Douglas Adams' reference, by the way.
Was it? To
Yes. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
what? Oh, okay.
But that happened to be tea, not coffee.
So an artisan roastery coffee shop based in the Finnish capital has introduced a coffee blend that has been developed by artificial intelligence in a trial in which it is hoped that technology can ease the workload in a sector that traditionally prides itself on manual work.
Oh dear, what are all those baristas going to do? Okay, so tell me about this blend.
Okay, so the blend is an AI-picked mixture with 4 types of beans dominated by Brazil's velvety Fadzenzel Pinhal.
It's easy for you to say.
Is the end result of a joint project by Kaffa, Finland's 3rd biggest coffee roastery.
Oh, yes.
And local AI consultancy Elev.
Oh, right. So an AI consultancy has got together with a coffee roastery and
Coffee shop.
a coffee shop and developed this new coffee roast from 4 beans.
Yes, from Brazil.
Okay, so this is the world's first AI coffee.
Well, it professes to be.
Well, that's kind of weird and wonderful, I suppose.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, you're a big fan of
I do love my
coffees.
coffee. I kind of run off with coffee.
How do you feel about an AI-generated coffee? Do you reckon there's a conspiracy in the mix there that could be there?
Oh, no.
The computers are trying to take over with coffee.
Trying to infuse the coffee with
Nano robots.
Well, we're going to get to nano robots. Don't you worry. This.
Would you drink it?
Yeah, I'll drink it if somebody wants to buy me one. I'll give it a go.
Fair
I don't
enough.
think they'll need to fly me out to Finland.
Can't be
though.
worse than, what is it, the iced coffee.
Oh no! I remember somebody who really tried to convince me that it was because I'm such a coffee lover that the cold filtered coffee was like something
to die for.
It's just something that you've got to experience.
It would kill you, yes.
And they really kind of like ramped up the ante on this cold filtered coffee, and it was just tasted like a cold cup of coffee. It was like, I don't like it. It's just cold coffee.
It's coffee, but
it's like
weird.
I've made coffee and let it go cold, and now it's not very nice at all. And I think this is just a gimmick. So no, that didn't do anything for me.
So AI coffee, yes.
As long as it's not
Cold coffee, no.
I'll give it a go. But there you go. Yes, I am a coffee lover, and I always will be because I run on it. But there we are. Not everybody is a coffee fanatic like me.
We've been doing conspiracy theories podcasts from the very beginning of the Now We Know Show podcast.
We have.
Wow, episode 1, that was the Flat Earth, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, we still reference it even now.
We do, in pretty much every episode.
Yes, in fact, I always think it's quite funny when, wasn't it, we're watching Fallout. Fallout is on Amazon Prime, and even that being based in because obviously it's based on the game, but it's based 200 years in the future after apocalypse. Mm-hmm. And even in that, I thought it was really funny when the character came out of the bunker and she's talking to somebody who's up there on the surface. And then one of the first things she said is, "So, how's it still going with the flat earth theory?" Update me after 200 years. I thought that was hilarious.
That's quite funny. So, we've started doing more and more of these conspiracy theories podcasts as we've been going along.
Yeah, we get asked a lot actually by people we bump into.
Which is
let's have another conspiracy one.
Which is why I wanted to bring up the fact that if you wanted to get in contact with us,
yep,
you brilliant listeners out there, you can get in contact with Zak Wylde Productions through our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram, or you can send us an email at info@zakwyldeproductions.com.
That would be great.
To send us some ideas for some podcasts that you'd like to hear.
Yeah, or just give us feedback on the podcasts you've listened to, because we love getting your email, and we do try and reply to everybody.
Or all your messages.
Yeah, so, get in contact. Give us that feedback. Thank you for your support. But this one, this week, is all about chemtrails.
Chemtrails, you say?
Dun, dun, dun.
What is a chemtrail?
Right, that's a good question, actually. Because this was the thing. I was on social media, as I said, and I saw this meme, and the meme had popped up after I'd seen some other things. And I don't know what it is with Facebook, for example, but it tends to throw things up on my social feed, which I don't subscribe to, or it's not groups or anything I have anything to do with. But
I get that a lot too.
I think the algorithms can go, ooh, maybe you'd be interested in this. So
it's that AI again. It's the AI.
It's the AI. It's probably doing the coffee as well. So anyway, I'm wondering, if big companies like Google and Meta, their coffee machines in their offices are run by AI. So anyway, slightly off target there, but anyway, so I saw this meme and I saw these conversations which intrigued me. So when I see something that intrigues me, I tend to click on the comments because, for example, with that meme, it said it had something like 2.6k comments. Well, so if something's had 2.6 thousand comments, let's just see what's going on there. And then it really surprised me because there's like a huge amount of people out there that are really arguing the case that everybody is blind, everybody's blinkered, that chemtrails are a thing, and whenever you got a post from somebody saying, "Carl, bring it down a
Calm
notch.
down, guys."
Yeah, let's just.
Then they get attacked.
Let's look at this logically. That chemtrails are, and I'll get to that. not what you think they are. And yeah, they don't get attacked, trounced by all these people, and you sort of, and it's an insight into the human psyche almost, because there are people,
definitely, yeah.
There are people more and more, especially because we have social media. Because before social media, you didn't meet anybody. You met your friends, you met people down the pub. And that's the great thing about the Now We Know show, is because we do it for sort of like conversations, which we do research, we fact check, but we like to present our podcast as if, we're sitting at the bar or a table, just having a chat.
We've just stumbled across this on Facebook.
It's the layman's kind of approach to these subjects. Kick it about, see what comes up, and so you look at these things, and you think, wow, there are so many people that are just so angry,
or it appears to be,
and they are
that way,
and they are so, I'm right.
Yeah, it's more of a case of pushing an opinion than just kind of having a discussion.
Exactly, and when you get things like that, and
people
since you brought it up, you're the flat earthers are just the same.
Yeah,
you can
well, it comes down to everything.
You can feed them with all the logic and the science you want to, and still they'll say no. It's
well, that is the thing. If somebody doesn't like something, they're always gonna push that.
Well, yes, and I suppose maybe it's kind of like being a member of a cult.
Potentially,
and
yeah.
I say that because I have known, and I've got friends that have been involved with cults before without realising that what they were involved with is a cult. And I suppose, people get into things, or they're brought up within a certain cult-ish society.
I've known a few people like that. I don't know them anymore.
No, and they are very fixed what they believe in, because either that cult has offered them something that's missing in their life, and they feel as if at last
it's a promise, isn't it?
I've got support, a nice group of people, they're supporting me, and they get involved with it. Or, as I've had other friends who have actually grown up within this kind of societies, and then when they have developed their own opinions, have literally been disfellowshipped from those societies, because now nobody's allowed to talk to this person because we don't want...
Going to the extremes, people have been... I've heard stories of people being completely cut off from family and things.
Oh, yeah, family won't even speak to them.
And that is completely... people so absorbed by these things, it can be quite detrimental.
They don't want anybody to influence their control over the mass group,
Exactly.
And I wonder if this is kind of what the psyche is with a lot of these conspiracy theorists that really and truly believe something
and
push it so hard. And of course, it doesn't matter what you throw at them. Through logic, through science,
there's
facts,
always an answer.
They won't have it.
Yep.
And of course, you're the one who has blinkered. You're the one with your head in the sand over these things. And a lot of this really came out around, of course, the COVID, explosion when we had lockdown.
And everyone was online.
There's conspiracy theories coming out on that one, and they're still floating around. So we shall see. But anyway, that's the thing about this chemtrail, and it was a conspiracy theory that I hadn't really come across before.
Okay.
Possibly have heard about it, but haven't really paid any attention to it until this week.
So you said that using that meme that you said about at the beginning of this episode. You said there was something to do with the plane going over?
Yes. Yeah, so what it is you've got two terminologies. Okay, first of all, you've got planes fly at high altitude, so, jetliners, transport planes, whatever. And, of course, they leave vapor trails behind them.
Yeah.
Okay? Some people refer to them as chemtrails, as in that's short for chemical trails.
Okay.
And others use what is known as a contrail.
Okay.
Which is a condensation trail.
Right.
Now, the thing is, the chemtrail is the conspiracy side of it. The contrail is the scientific answer to why you get vapor trails.
Okay. So vapor trails and contrails are one side, and chemtrails are the other.
Well, they're all vapor trails, if you want to say that. A vapor trail is a vapor trail, but it's dependent on the person who's looking at it, what they want to believe it to be.
So is it a Dyson or a Hoover?
Yeah, I don't know. But
Is it a jacuzzi or a hot tub?
No, well, so let's just look at it from a really basic case. You have planes
Yes.
that are flying through the air, and they fly at different altitudes.
Yes.
And it's only when they get into high altitudes that the heat from the engines, because obviously you've got the jet engines, and we all know what a jet engine looks like, is punching out the hot air out of the jet engine, because that's what it's doing. A jet engine is literally ramming air out of itself to give the propulsion push to get the plane up in the air and to obviously fly. Different from a propeller. If you're using a propeller, the propeller is pulling you forwards, yeah?
Oh, there you go.
Do we know?
That's cool.
What do you think? A propeller's pushing you?
That's pretty... Oh.
A propeller pulls you forwards.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you've got a propeller plane and the propellers are going, the faster they get, the more. If you're standing behind the plane, you'll be getting like full blasted by the amount of air they're pushing backwards.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like if you've got if you're paragliding and you've got one of those parachutes, but you've got one of the caged motors on your back, it's pushing you forwards. Yeah. Well, the propellers on the front of a plane are pulling you forwards, yeah? Otherwise it would go backwards, wouldn't it?
Yes. What happens if the propeller is actually on the back of the plane?
Well, that would act in the same way as you have those, in the sort of Florida swamps, you get the surface skimming boats.
Yeah, those things.
But they really don't have a keel underneath them. They're literally very flat because the water isn't deep.
Yeah.
And you've got all the reeds and everything, which propellers would get caught up in. And they just have the big fan on the back, which, like a hovercraft, pushes you forwards. And in hovercrafts, they have fans which push air downwards and outwards, and the skirt creates a cushion of air underneath the hovercraft, which it floats on, basically. So this is where we have propellers or jet engines. Well, we're talking about jet engines because jet engines ram that hot air out, okay? But when you get up into high altitude, you're hitting freezing cold air.
Yeah.
Very thin, freezing cold air. So the particles of moisture within the hot air that's being pumped out through the engines crystallise and turn into a vapour trail or a contrail, condensation trail. So basically what you're looking at are ice crystals. There will also be a mixture in that of the exhaust fumes from the engines, but the majority of what you're seeing is basically the vapour trail.
And that's why we can see it.
And that's why we can see it. And it depends on what altitude they're at. They can kind of look different. They dissipate slower or faster. You know, you often see a plane and you might have a really long vapour trail behind it, and then slowly you'll see the vapour trail disappear and dissipate. Yeah? Okay. And to really bring it down to earth, okay, if it's a cold winter's day and you're in your house and you are doing this funny thing that human beings do, we breathe, and when we breathe in oxygen and we expel carbon dioxide, that air that's come into our lungs has been warmed up and then we expel it. But in the house, you don't see it. But as soon as you go outside, you can
the cold,
you draw in the cold air, which you can't see, and with the moment breathing out,
you've warmed it up.
Your body's warmed up, and you get the condensation, that vapour that comes out of your mouth.
To quote Family Guy here, condensation.
Okay, so that's basically, if you like, what planes are doing at that height. That's sucking in cold air, blowing out hot air. The hot air then condenses, and you have...
Okay, so it's kind of the same principle.
Exactly. However, this is where the conspiracy comes in.
Dun, dun, dun.
There are a lot of people that are completely and utterly convinced that they're not contrails, they are chemtrails.
Okay.
And in fact, what it is all these planes. There's a worldwide conspiracy. Okay.
Is this separate from the one where planes are using anti-gravity technology to fly?
This is separate. This is a big worldwide conspiracy where these planes are pumping out chemicals in the high atmosphere. Okay. And those chemicals are there to the world governments know about it because they're the ones that are in control. They're pumping out chemicals into the atmosphere, which do things along the lines of population control, climate change, that they are basically manipulating the weather and the climate. They are releasing nano robots into the air that we breathe in, and then they can get us to do whatever they want.
Okay.
And all sorts of wonderful things.
I'm trying to hear something new here. It's the old "they are trying to control us" scenario, isn't it?
Well,
who is this big they? That's what I want to know.
Exactly. Let me just give you some information that I picked up on the chemtrails. So to clarify, okay, kind of the background behind this conspiracy theory is that chemtrails refer to a theory that governments and other parties are engaged in a secret program to add toxic chemicals to the atmosphere from aircraft in a way that forms visible plumes in the sky.
Okay.
Would you believe that? Eh?
Okay.
And basically, this is what they are. They are contrails, but they love to call them chemtrails. And there's supposedly various different motivations for this alleged spraying, which are speculated as including sterilisation, reduction of life expectancy, mind control, and, as I've already said, weather control.
Okay. Well, the things you just said, so sterilisation, I'm pretty sure the global, population has just exploded recently. We're heading towards, isn't it, carrying capacity by 2050?
Yes, I do actually want to do a further podcast on the carrying capacity of the planet.
So that's a bit kind of counterintuitive with this statement.
Yeah, because obviously if it's to do with population control,
it's not working.
Not controlling it very well. No, not at all. That's a whole big subject in its own. Another favourite subject of mine, that one.
So I'm going to let you continue before I kind of pose a really big kind of counter argument to this.
So as you can see in that little bit that I've just, explained to you, it's already sounding really far-fetched, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
But then I came across an author called Levi Williams. Okay, and he's written a book which says that his research has revealed that the government, and this is important, under the control of the New World Order, has been spraying chemicals into the atmosphere via chemtrails, okay? But they're also using superdarn, which is a type of radar system, okay? And in conjunction with it to alter the state of minds of the global population. And they're doing that telepathically. This is right.
That's two separate things.
He also reveals that in his book, there's different additives to the chemtrails that are sprayed during the day and those that are sprayed at night.
Has he got any evidence to support this?
And even something called smart dust is being sprayed within the atmosphere, which is known to the scientific community as MEMS, or micro-electromechanical systems. And these are nanomites, which are miniaturized robots and sensors that can be absorbed through the skin, and once inside the body can do whatever they've been programmed to do. And Levi Williams, the author, goes further by revealing that the New World Order has the entire global population under mind control, and they don't even know it.
So this is kind of taking kind of a step kind of sideways from the chemtrails business with this whole radar psychic thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say psychic, it was telepathically.
Oh, telepathic.
Telepathic. I don't know how that works.
I mean,
I actually haven't found
since when could radar do that?
I don't know.
Radar's just a means of locating things.
Okay, so let's bring it down to Earth.
Not a global
let's
sphere.
bring it down to Earth rather than being up with the chemtrails at the moment. There's a lot of things wrong with this theory. Okay, first of all, as fact checking it through other sources online and reputable fact checking websites and things, and the science just doesn't add up to the fact that there is this global conspiracy that global governments are in league with the New World Order,
whatever that may be.
because I mean the simple things are one thing that I'd like to say is a lot of people don't trust governments.
Yeah.
But what you can trust are people that will dob in governments. I mean, when you consider something as big as the Manhattan Project, and recently that's been in the news because, of course, Oppenheimer, the movie. Mm-hmm. So there you have this huge project where the states are trying to develop the nuclear bomb. Even then, with all the security, with all the hush-hush and everything, trying to keep it under wraps, it still got leaked out and the Russians knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Because people will blab. People will have reason to either think about their families or be very patriotic, and they will leak stuff. There's stuff being leaked on a daily basis about
Well, a very good example about leaks and stuff is you've got to just look at the film and TV industry. Like, leaks are plenty when it comes to that. Some potentially like organised leaks.
So now you're talking about...
It's good promotion.
Now you're talking about this global network that is run and controlled by the supposed...
the New World Order.
In this case, the New World Order, not the Illuminati for a change. So this is being... And not a single person is able to leak a single bit of truth about it. No, it just doesn't make sense. And also, planes in themselves... You've been to airports, you've been on planes, you've flown away. When they take off, there is no contrail or chemtrail coming out the back of the engines that you can physically see. Yeah. Otherwise, the whole airports would be absolutely swamped with this stuff, unless you're telling me that they fly up to these altitudes and then switch it on. Because that's the thing. It goes back to that kind of glitches in the Matrix when somebody sees a bird hovering. Look, this bird is flying, but it's stuck in one space.
It can't move.
And suddenly a plane gets to a certain height, the contrails start to appear because of the altitude they're at. No. They've switched on the chemtrail.
There's a big button that says chemtrail.
And they're now spraying the nanobots out.
There you go. It's the pilots. They're in league with the big them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
they know.
If I decided I was going to go for my pilot's license, at what level do I suddenly get ushered into a dark room and surrounded by men in black? So right now, you want to fly a passenger airplane?
You're signing up to be part of the New World Order?
This chemtrail deployment system.
So, in this fact, the big kind of hole that's like in my face about this is the fact that if these are actually a thing, surely there is no delineation when it comes to their effect. So surely it would affect the New World Order people as much as it would Joe Bloggs.
Yeah, I can see exactly where you're coming from.
Unless they've got a special implant.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's
the smart dust.
The smart dust. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's the smart dust only affects the smart people. But it would also mean that the people that are au fait in their belief of this conspiracy theory, surely they wouldn't believe this conspiracy theory. Because they themselves...
If it was affecting them.
They would themselves be affected by it and be, as they say, brainwashed. And
maybe they've been brainwashed to believe it in order to cover up something else.
Well, that's always going to be the next big conspiracy, isn't it? The conspiracy that is being hidden by the conspiracy.
That's the thing.
I did have a conversation with somebody. I think this was about...
How many levels are there?
The whole COVID thing. When there's some people coming out with some very, very wild conspiracies on that. But yeah, I ended up talking to somebody who was so adamant that this way out conspiracy about it was true. Yeah, they were literally almost saying, I'm telling you, brother, this is the truth. You must understand. You've been brainwashed. Blah, blah. And then I sat there and I thought, hang on a second. And I said, look, I didn't really want to tell you this, but what's happened here is your belief. You're believing in something that's actually covering up. It's sidelining you, taking your eye away from the fact there's a much bigger conspiracy going on. And then I sat there and I made up this whole conspiracy theory that I said is the real conspiracy that sits behind what you're believing. And that your conspiracy theory has been designed in order to mislead you away from noting what the truth really is going on.
Conspiracy.
And they sat there and scratching their head almost going,
You cross some wires in there.
Yeah, cross some wires in there. Because some people are psychologically, some people are hardwired that you don't have the capacity to change the way they think.
Yeah.
I like to think that
it's very blatant.
If you come to me with factual evidence on something, So for example, I'm going
Go on.
yeah, if you came to me with actual factual evidence or the ability to say, look, Buzz, I'm going to take you on a plane. We're going to an airport in South America. We're going to get on a ship and we're going to go to Antarctica, and then we're going to get onto some skidoos, and I'm going to show you the ice wall, and then we're going to climb the ice wall, and we're going to get on top of the ice wall, and you're going to be able to look out and you see, Panthea or whatever is the countries beyond the ice wall, and you'll know it's real.
Suddenly
the Earth is flat.
Bit of Game of Thrones right there.
Exactly. The Earth is flat. If I was standing on top of that ice wall looking out going, yeah, right, you've changed my mind. But see, they can't.
No.
That's the thing. They can't do that. And so, yeah, but the one's mind, when you are able to take in new facts.
I mean, it's even the fact that even when something is proven or disproven, should I say,
well,
there's an excuse for it. It's I've been drugged, especially in this instance.
Well, yes, but we're going back.
It's CGI.
Oh gosh,
classic one.
What did I see that people going on about CGI of the moon landings, and the moon landings was another conspiracy that we covered.
Yeah,
and they were saying
way back.
Oh, this was CGI back in the '60s of CGI, and then somebody put a meme up of the original Lara Croft with her very pointy boobs.
Yes.
And saying this was the top end range of CGI in 1990s. You know, I mean, what are you talking about? But well, yes, what you say is true, because going back to some friends that I know who, when I said at the beginning of this podcast about being involved in cultish beliefs, there's a particular friend of mine, and he's a really nice individual. No names, no pack drill, as I say. But I've had many conversations with them, and they themselves have pretty much got to the point where they've questioned their belief in what they're doing, because they have to go through certain rituals on a weekly basis. They do things, and I don't want to identify anybody, but they have to go and spread the word and things like this.
Type of effort, yeah.
And they would question themselves over it, because it got to a point where I think they could see that they'd been following this mantra for so many years.
Long, it became part
of them.
Yeah.
And then the rules that those in charge,
the new order,
changed the rules because they'd like set a date.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about now.
By this particular date, paradise on earth will be here, kind of thing.
Been and gone, mate. Sorry.
And that date, and on the year, because obviously I'm knocking on the doors of 60, so I'm talking about back when I was in my 20s, and I was being told by this friend of mine, you've got to come in. You've got to come in and join, because paradise is almost here. It's almost here. I'm trying to save you. They were so convinced. Time ticked on. Time ticked on. I kept saying, thank you very much, but I'm okay as I am.
Thanks, but no thanks.
It doesn't affect our friendship. You believe what you want to believe. And then the crucial time passed, and you could see this individual's belief wavering. And then, as I say, them, the big cheese, changed the rules. Paragraphs which were in their publications were removed.
2015 edition.
They were removed. And all the new people coming in were not allowed to know about what had preceded.
Yeah.
Wasn't allowed to be spoken about. And we don't say anything. And at that point, I could see my friend's belief was, I've been following this for so many years.
Yeah.
And now they've changed all the rules. But I think what he got to was this kind of, I don't know what you call it, kind of this, whether you sort of suddenly hit this kind of moment of, what do I do?
Yeah, a nexus point. We'll go with nexus point.
Okay, and the decision that they made was, because they'd been doing it for so many years, they couldn't face themselves of being
without
wrong.
it. Yeah.
That they couldn't take on board that they'd given so much of their time and life to this.
Yeah, and be wrong.
That they'd rather continue as they are and because
Well, I suppose it's at this point where in these communities and things, you kind of get the splinter factions, where it's like points like this, where suddenly somebody decides something different. The people that agree are going to continue with it, and the people that don't agree are going to splinter off to a different faction.
Follow the gourd.
Yeah.
Or follow the sandal.
Yeah, exactly.
Monty Python's reference.
It is. Holy Grail. Good movie.
But there are so many of these conspiracies, and this chemtrail one, after really looking into it, is rather kind of erroneous. It's kind of it's not provable. You know, it's such a huge thing to try and say that these planes are all spraying these mind-bending chemicals and nanobots into the atmosphere.
How chemicals are chemicals? How are you going to differentiate between the big them and Joe Bloggs? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, anyway, so, I mean, it's true that contrails do have an effect. I mean, condensation trails, and it has been observed, because you have so much air traffic, and a good example would be, for example, over the United States, when 9/11 occurred, and when the Twin Towers, obviously, and very sadly, were destroyed through a terrorist attack, all flights across America were suspended for, I think it was about a week. Now, what happened then, or was noted then scientifically, was that surface temperatures over the United States jumped up. So we talk about global warming because all of the chemicals that aeroplanes, that transportation, fumes, obviously power stations, and natural things like volcanoes, for example, put into the atmosphere. And because of the Industrial Revolution, from that point onwards, that we are now suffering from global warming because of the temperature of the planet. The chemicals in the atmosphere are creating the surface temperatures to increase. The temperature of the seas to increase, and this is causing obviously coral bleaching and things like that.
Knock-on effects, yeah.
Exactly. However, what was observed over America and has been subsequently looked into is what's called global dimming. But it's a subject that people probably a lot of people haven't even heard of. But global dimming is something that is affected by or caused by the amount of contrails in the atmosphere, because what they create is a blanket which reflects solar energy off the atmosphere, which doesn't get through. So it basically creates a barrier for solar energy. Yes, the temperature underneath with the atmosphere is getting warmer from all the industrialization that we use as the population of the planet, but also the contrails add to the reflectiveness of the atmosphere. So when you take that away, then suddenly more solar energy comes through and temperatures actually go up more than they are already presently. So there's an argument that if we've got to a point where global temperatures being artificially increased through global warming actually would be even more if you strip out the aeroplanes in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, aren't they trying to reduce flights and things?
They're looking into electric.
There's so many different climate promises and things now that are never going to happen.
They're looking at different fuels. They're looking at electric planes. They're looking at planes which I think can pop out, literally leave the atmosphere, go into low orbit and come back in again and things like that. So
isn't that called a spaceship?
Yeah, it's like that. It's a bit like the
a shuttle.
Just a bigger scale than is it Virgin Atlantic's? Isn't there? I can't think of the name of their project. Is it
Virgin Galactic?
Galactic, that's it. And also, there's been suggestions from people that the planes should fly at lower altitudes so that they don't create contrails.
Right.
Yeah, but they use more fuel, so you're sort of counteracting it by pumping out more, burning more fossil fuel in the fact they're flying, which obviously the exhaust fumes are coming out of the planes, but what you're seeing is the condensation that crystallises in the upper atmosphere when they're flying higher.
So it sounds like you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here.
With global warming in one hand and global dimming in the other hand, yes.
It's kind of a balance, isn't it?
Yeah, and not a good one.
No.
Not a good one for us. And of course, with as you mentioned earlier, global population increase.
Well, I was going to bring
which
that
is,
up, yeah.
we're going to have to do a podcast solely on the carrying capacity of the planet, which is fascinating.
I think it's something we have brought up in previous episodes.
We mentioned it before, but we haven't had a sole discussion on the carrying capacity of the planet. So yes, so there we go. So chemtrails, contrails. In the real world, they're just contrails, condensation trails, produced by planes, flying at high altitude, and the hot air coming throughout the engine just condenses into ice crystals, and there you go. Chemtrails. We're all being controlled by these chemicals and these nanorobots and even radar and telepathy.
Yeah, but I just can't personally see, like, why.
Well, it's not working if that's the case.
Yeah.
Because if it was working, we'd all be walking around in a stupor and doing exactly what we're meant to be told to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, you can't say that. I know.
Well, actually,
you're wrong. You're a plant. You're a plant from the big them.
Or it could be that the chemtrails are designed to do exactly that. Convince people that they are chemtrails. And everybody that believes that they're chemtrails are being controlled.
They are.
Yeah, there you go.
The true question.
Both ways.
The true question is it a cover-up for the fact that we're actually in a giant dome?
Oh, they are.
Or maybe it's all CGI, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how you work this one out on the flat Earth.
It's when the conspiracy theorists get, like, arsey with each other.
Yes.
My conspiracy theory is right. Mine's right.
My theory of flat Earth is correct, and your theory of flat Earth is wrong. My theory of Bigfoot is correct, and your theory of Bigfoot is wrong.
Well, my
Bigfoot is a real animal who's evading capture.
Well,
No, this is wrong. My Bigfoot is an interdimensional creature.
Xanu!
The Xanu, which can appear and disappear and talk to you in dream speech. So it really, let's bring back down again. I mean, human beings
have an infinite capacity for imagination.
And they can be very, very, very
stubborn,
and try and be very, very persuasive. Again, and of course, when you come to the human condition, there are a lot of people that can be very, very persuasive and use just the right type of words, and there's other people that will just follow because that's the way they're built. I suppose. And then there's
Conan the Barbarian.
And then there's people in between who sort of go, oh dear. But anyway, chemtrails, as far as I can discover, fact-checking and everything else, are just one of those way-out conspiracy theories. And when you look up into the sky, although it's not great having planes pumping out their exhaust fumes, when you look in the sky, you are seeing contrails. Yes, they have an effect on through global dimming, but you're not being mind controlled, and you're not being sterilised at the same time.
Yeah, because that ain't working, is it?
Well, there you go. As I said, the world population is increasing, about to hit like around 10 billion around 2050. No, sterilisation through chemtrails is not working. Somebody needs to ring up the New World Order and say, oi!
Fix it
now, you're getting it wrong.
Come on, please. We want this.
The planet needs it. Anyway, on that.
Just a disclaimer, this does not reflect our true beliefs and values.
No. I like to come from a scientific approach to
and that's why we were discussing it.
And just kick it around. And I'm open to be persuaded otherwise. So, if you're out there,
anyone out
there,
and
you have real factual evidence that this
you want to present your case, then get in contact with the Zak Wylde Productions Now We Know Show podcast team
and tell us, prove to us the world is flat, prove to us chemical trails are a thing, prove to us that the Xanu exists,
prove to us that the moon landings didn't happen.
That's it. Do it.
We live in the Matrix.
Exactly. Or do we? So, Zak, that just leaves us with Wisdom of the Week. Okay. If we haven't already, of course, had a lot of wisdom dealing with chemtrails and contrails and everything else that we've spoken about. Wisdom of the Week. Here we go. So this week's wisdom is, worrying doesn't take away tomorrow's troubles. It takes away today's peace.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's
I like
to
that.
think about this week.
Yeah.
There we go. So, that's another wonderful episode of the Now We Know Show.
in the bag.
In the bag. Another conspiracy theory dealt with.
Oh, we're almost there. We're almost at that big 100.
Oh, yes. What episode was this?
97.
97. Wow, 3 away from the big 100. And I'd like to, at this point, say thank you to everybody that is regularly tuning in and listening to the Now We Know Show podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You are absolutely amazing. Your stars, every single one of you.
It's been a fantastic journey, and we look forward to where it leads.
Exactly, because when we started this, all those... Well, years ago now?
Yeah, 2
years. It was kind of like, where's it going to go? And we haven't run out of enthusiasm. We have got so many subjects on this little planet of ours to cover. We're just having great fun, and it is absolutely brilliant that you listen in every week. And, we just want to say a big, big thank you to everyone out there.
Thank you very much, guys. Couldn't be here without you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe to this channel and comment below any suggestions of topics or activities you'd like to listen to in future episodes.
That's a big, I am not mind-controlled from chemtrails, goodbye from Buzz.
And that's a, hang on a minute, I'm just receiving a telepathic message from my overseers. That's a goodbye from Zak. See you in the next episode.
Goodbye.
You can find the Now We Know Show podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts. Keep up to date with everything ZWP on Facebook and Instagram, or visit the Zak Wylde Productions website at www.zakwyldeproductions.com. And remember to join us on Patreon or become a YouTube member for early access content and exclusive episodes.